This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, this community development meeting on May the 18th of 23. I guess all members are here because there's only two of us now. So, yeah. So Jason Ackerman's here, Michael McKinnon, Mary Gaziano, and Kelly Simons. I mix that up every time. Do we do roll call anyway, the two of us? Mike McKinnon, roll call. Jason Akron here. Conflict of interest? None. No public comment. Approval of the minutes from April 25th of 23.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. All in favor?
Comments, questions?
Oh yeah, that's right. Any discussion?
Hearing none. Those in favor, Mike McKinnon, yes.
Jason, yes. So, okay, on to why. So the fourth, Mike, you had started that email string, I think, which I have here. But anyway, Barb Krause, she had called and asked who's in charge of the parade and who could be Grand Marshal. I didn't even know there was one. I'm not sure there was one. But since we don't have a parade committee anymore, a 4th of July committee, it falls on us.
You know who? That was Frank, no? I mean, I don't know whether the 4th of July committee did it or the office staff did it.
Well, Frank, I emailed Frank. Let me see.
Yeah, there always was one. I just don't know who was about decision to.
He basically said, I have that somewhere, that it falls on us now since there is no, and that it would be fine for the Barb and the class of 73. That's what she wants. She wants the class of 73 as having their 50th.
So the entire class.
She had said 2 El Caminos of people, but yes, a representative group of the class of 73. And Nick had given me an order, Sergeant Nick had given me, that's all right, I should say, an order here. Yeah, motorcycles, fire, then Grand Marshal. So I thought we should just put this all in stone. So since class of 73, first come, first serve, I'm Grand Marshal this year.
Unless there was something that you were aware of that, maybe you had a higher level superiority than that, and I haven't heard of anything or no request, and I think it's appropriate, because that would be what, 50 years?
Yes.
So yeah.
Kind of neat.
And instead of having a specific individual, we're just going to recognize the class of 25. I make that motion that we recognize the class of 2023.
Class of 73.
Class of 73. Standard. Grand Marshal of the parade.
I will second that motion.
And then
The only question I have is that I assume they're one of the high school.
Yes. That's a good question. Yes. Yes.
And I guess, so yeah, we can, assuming this, passes the board, then, just have to say, yeah, we are approving, 2 vehicles to be in that role. And, you can't impromptu change it on your own. If for some reason word gets out and now you got, 7 vehicles for the class, you better check with us before you assume anything.
Yes, I'll call, once we go through, well, probably tonight, I'll just tell her we're going to bring it to the board. I'll call her again and set it more, yes. If you're going to have more than 2 vehicles, let us know.
You have to be a hard sell to change that, because where do you draw the line, and then amongst the class, they can decide who the 6 or 8 people or whatever that they're going to determine. I think that's their call, not our call.
Did Frank give you an indication that it needed to go to the board after
No.
The only
I can
reason I
find,
asked that question is, are there people potentially that don't live here that might be making arrangements to come if that's gonna be part of it? I mean, I know it's like not the biggest thing in the world.
I don't ever recall ever approving this.
No.
here we go.
Me neither.
No, there would have been the other committee. Okay,
I don't even know, I can't even say whether the Fourth of July committee, I really always thought it was an office decision, but I don't know that to be back.
well, nobody could answer whether there was even a grand marshal ever before.
There's always been a
Oh, there has.
And who is it? Do you ever remember any? I thought it was Frank.
Frank was in one time, and I believe the long-term.
Oh, that's Ferguson.
Ferguson had been one, I mean, yeah, every year there's been a break, I remember there'd be some sort of grand marshal.
Oh, I'm sorry, he did say to bring it to the board.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Well, I mean, I think, unless.
Yep,
I don't think it's very controversial, it's like, if you still let the people know that, it does require board approval, but, then you can ask, hey, you know what? You guys have to expect, special travel plans or whatever, I mean, we're only a couple weeks away, but if you needed to, just like it was, maybe the other side, say, you kind of survey the board in the past, and, hey, you know what, it's not planned when the board votes on it, but, respond back to, Kelly, or whatever, that if you're objection to this, that way that we give the people in advance notice if needed, and then again, they're all local people, it's probably not a big deal.
does Nick does set, who lines them up? How's that work? Because I just, when I talk to
Nick
her,
has been on the police, Nick has been partaking in the Fourth of July committee for many, many years. And that's represented the police department, he's taken care of that for the last several years.
so you would probably be doing that again. So I'll let him know as well, which I did
Yeah.
ask him about all this, so.
And so, I guess the other thing is if other issues come up with the Fourth of July committee between now and then, or then, since we don't have a committee, we can always ask Nick to be available for community development meetings. And I guess we'll have one more.
Yeah.
Or like I said, you can certainly debrief them or whatever, but again, if there's a little give and take, the beneficial areas input.
Okay.
So, any other thoughts, questions? If not, roll call.
Mike McKinnon, yes. Jason Ackerman, yes.
Less than 9, so it's just helping.
And you're fine. Had a long day.
It's been a number of years now.
So that was it on the agenda. Yeah, parade order and grand marshal appointment. So new business, I do have one. The Leslie Hop contacted the village to have a car show at the school, right, Kelly?
What's her last name?
COP, K-O-P-P. Or is it HOP? Maybe it's HOP, H-O-P-P. I'm sorry. Yes, Eric Hop. So they are wanting to have a car show at the school on August 13th. And they filled out a special events application well in advance. And it had,
We talked a little bit in this about the summer activity with the, what do you call it? Single main one. And it's like saying, we know that we ever kind of concluded, full property, I mean, not school has all kinds of events, and at what point do we become involved? If everything is on the school property, do we have an involvement, or,
And I think one of the questions on there is whether or not it would require street closure.
okay, then that certainly brings the village involved.
So I
they
think
put no, but that's on there because of that.
I guess how would this be any different than, or maybe we do have some involvement, I don't know about, but all times in summer, the phone says, the car event on their private property, and.
I asked Ron Huggins about that, whether they ever had to do anything in the past. And
No,
they did not.
this is new because
Right.
things went to Jingle Mingle where all of a sudden, they wanted to, have a parade up and down the street, and they wanted to have bonfires in the park, and it was on village property, so it kind of, that brought the issue to a head that it's like, property being used for these things, we gotta get better control over it. And then as we were working on a more sophisticated, form, then
Yeah,
they both moved to the school, so, I mean, obviously, we need the critical information, and maybe the first couple is a little bit onerous, but, I guess on some of these events, whatever,
and that would have been the same thing, a nonprofit, or that was for profit. I mean, how are we handling that? Yeah,
but again, it was, obviously, they had, the Neal had several, affected the village because they were looking for a street closure, they were looking to have bonfires, they were looking to have a parade that brought them down, Maine, so there's all kinds of things that directly involve activities.
the only thing I would say is, do we need to pass this thing? Document?
Well, that's just, but I think right now, it's just, don't have a document, and Kelly's working on, getting a suitable document. More important at this point is, or something that we need to be involved with them, the village is just explanatory. Did they say anything about trying to move down?
No, they have no marked, no streets. What happens if they say yes, then they put down what streets they're gonna be using?
What they're
Say you
requesting.
had a cruise night or something, that'd be different, right?
And really, the culvert thing never really involves a cruise night.
No.
People, I mean, they can't cruise to get there, but they're just sitting out, they got that 15 parking lot, and, people are looking at the cars that are coming through, and
There's gonna be nothing different about this.
Oh,
correct.
They're sitting on a,
Correct. It's at the school, the way it looks to me, in the way I read the email.
Yeah, and then one of the other parts of that is to make sure they're not having some type of noise device that can't.
oh, yes.
So if they are aware of our noise ordinance, so if they were considering that, then they would have to make sure they comply with.
I guess the other thing, which I don't see as a problem, but it is, since we're discussing curiosity, but schools, PA systems, like football games and everything within any noise ordinance requirements that we have. Yeah, you're more familiar with anybody, anything you would think that would.
and the big thing too is what's really about the school, and I know it's not total zoning, but I mean, they're like building, it's totally outside of their building code. Even though we're the village, it's the weirdest thing in the world, it's just how the statute is set up that they are like their own entity and they
Right.
report to their own people.
They're like Disneyland used to be in Florida.
Yeah. But I mean, it's true, and I was very surprised.
Until a
when
few
I
months
first
ago.
found that out. I was like, what?
Yeah, building permits and stuff.
Yeah, nothing.
Our inspectors are involved in the.
So I guess it does come back to the fundamental question, with all of the events going on at school, what are the triggers that are bring village involved in? Obviously, certainly anything that's got to do with the village street, closures. I assume today, there's some level of intercommunication between the school and the police department, so they know that, okay, this is the day, this is the time, and we're coming up these streets, so.
Yeah, they do contact.
So technically, that then, once we adopt some sort of form here, or whatever, we probably would ask the school to let out as well too. And
I think it would come down to the school sponsoring that, then it would not be required, but in this case. it's
So-
permission from the
so,
school.
okay, therefore, not a school one, but yet an event by a private party on the school property.
Yes.
And again, still, we have, even though this wouldn't apply to the school when they have their other activities, we still have some other type of process or whatever, so they know that, okay, you can't just make a tractor day without involving the village, so I mean, it's,
Yeah.
Because
they're not, the school is not immune to being responsible to the village if they're doing like getting the tractors on the village streets, I mean, it's just that what they do on their property, we don't have.
Yeah. It's, and I think because we've interacted with the school for many, many years, they're reasonably understood they do it. Now, if you have to start having a change of personnel and somebody didn't have something documented very well, So there's still ought to be some basic, and hey guys, you gotta recognize, things occur, I don't know if I think that, but certainly, use of public roads and, closing the roads or, heavy traffic. Teams are heavy traffic, but they don't dictate the need for traffic control. But certainly we know events like the fireworks, require some level of, or the parades require traffic control. And homecoming, what do they call it? Their homecoming parade, they involve the village. So, it probably would be good to have a little informal document of, we probably always talk to Nick and say, hey, we know you guys been doing this successfully for years, but, at what point do you guys want to be going loud and what purposes or whatever?
And I think it wouldn't hurt. I know I've talked about, or I've mentioned this before, then the event went away, but that I really think that it's time for me to talk to the school district attorney, just to find out, because this is coming up more and more, the people are going to the school, and just to see
Well,
what involvement do we have? If they say, we deal with everything and, we're our own baby.
I was just gonna bring up, I wonder if they charge any fees at the school. I doubt it.
Yeah,
That'd be my
in this
guess.
particular case, I don't believe so, because fundraisers.
So that,
Oh,
yes, it is. I
oh,
was
okay.
gonna bring that up, yeah. That one passed away. So, okay. I went to buy a pie from Mary Carlson, who was part of the farmer's market. And I did get a little earful, but the pie was wonderful, so it was worth it. Somebody called to get a fee from the pizza guy.
Yep.
So all I want to talk about is, and I know why you did it, I think, isn't it? I talked to Sally a little,
Well-
coffee truck, food truck. We charge fees to them, right?
What they do is they fill out an application for an itinerant merchant. Because they don't have a brick and mortar building in the village of Winnebago. So they're operating a business within the village. Without a business, well, he is registered as a business within the village, but he's operating a business within the village without,
We got
tax, where does the tax go? So not that it's gonna be a significant amount, but if you permit one and then another.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up. Do we permit it so we get business
Well, I think the issue.
or no?
The issue comes up is, okay, you got a coffee shop, we've got all the physical infrastructure and paying taxes. Now, competing against this guy with a coffee truck and whatever, he's not the ball fee. He's already got himself a little bit easier things. He doesn't have the real estate, this and the other, but there's no taxes involved. That's how he gets himself a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
So that's all we were trying to do with that, is just kind of even out the playing field.
By what? Getting
Well, so.
is that what the fee was?
They register to be an itinerant merchant in the village of Winnebago, and they can pay a one-time fee if they just want to show up one time, or they can pay for a whole year, which is $200 for the permit. Which they provide then that they have proof of certification from Winnebago County Health to serve food to the public.
Right.
And that they're registered with the state of Illinois, that where they should transmit their sales tax collected, and it would be attributed to the village of Winnebago. So what they can do is they can apply their locations on the document that they would then, whatever sales are generated here in the village, they could report those sales and it would be calculated to the village of Winnebago, and we would reach the benefit of that. So
And that evens the playing field.
Well, it's just even.
It's just something.
necessarily, but
But I guess at least the thing the county mentioned, certainly, at least from the village standpoint, if somebody buys from a brick and mortar store, or buys from the guy in his trailer, at least whatever sales tax are generated off of, if they bought from the trailer and we didn't have this and didn't have all the infrastructure, we wouldn't get any sales tax benefit off of there, where we would if they got the coffee at McDonald's or the gas station or everything.
And the idea with the itinerant merchants is we want to know who's in the village.
Yeah.
And who's walking around or doing whatever. Now, I understand, that Mrs. So-and-so has this and that everybody knows her, but there could be somebody else
Yes.
who, you know, is this
Case of
person,
botulism or
Is this
something
a-
like you're talking about.
or their background, you know, is this person a registered sex offender?
Mhm.
And suddenly they're coming in the village and they're, you know, setting up shop. We gotta know something about these people. That was the whole point of the peddler ordinance to begin with.
So where do we stand on it then?
Well, I have sent him a letter, Frank's permission, informing him that we have an ordinance for itinerant merchants. I sent it to him, let him know what he needed to fill out in return.
And who's the him? This
The
is
guy that owns the pizza
the
place.
pizza guy.
I don't have his name.
I don't know it.
But it's the pizza, the wood
It's
fire.
wood fire pizza.
Oh, no.
So and he received. I thought, well, we made the coffee guy. And follow the same guidelines. It just seemed like it hadn't really been on anybody's radar before.
Well,
But it really,
Here's-
like what she was referring to is, you need to know who's setting themselves up. A kid could come and approach that.
Yes.
For pizza, and you never know. I mean, not that we're saying he is that type of person, but.
But that's why you have those kind of rights. And you can't selectively enforce to say, but that's Mrs. So-and-so. She, you know, we all know her. You can't do that. Because then is it,
no, I agree with that. It
it's
was,
Mrs. So-and-so, or that person's African American, or that person's got purple hair, or whatever it is.
Well, the other thing is with that one or whatever, it's like, you know, not being singled out to say, you know what? There's a lot of things going on and, you know, also when this new event comes up or whatever, and, you know, we can, you know, permit and everything on, and then all of a sudden, you know, it raises the awareness and wait a minute, you know, this is something we did here, but we didn't do over here. So yeah, you're not gonna like it, but you know, you did get the benefit of a few years without it, but we can't continue to have two sets of standards.
well, and what it was is they're on the library property now. So is that anything or that's still village?
Well,
Still,
Because then,
they're still attracting the public, right? And there's
So
still.
we've had this conversation. I feel like this is just all of a sudden one day Kelly just woke up and said, this is what we're doing. We had us, but yeah, they're advertising to the, you know. to the
sure,
public.
again,
to get clarity, and I think I know the answer to the next question anyways, but obviously if the library had a library event and they catered in to that library event, but it's not really the floating public like the farmer's market is. You know, so that way I'm just trying to look at some of these things so we can clearly differentiate, you know, we're not gonna, if the library is hosting an event and it's for a specific group of people, you bring in a caterer in, no, we don't have any involvement with that.
That's their private event.
It's your private event, but if you're doing something where the event is open to the public, and you're serving food or doing these other things or whatever, that's probably where.
so every person on the farmer's market.
Really should.
Yeah.
Well, this
That,
has
that,
some
because I still
direct
feel like
guidelines for that too. There is a,
singling out.
I mean, I have to figure out all the guidelines for farmers market and what the state. For cottage farms is what they refer to. So.
That is what.
It has to be regulated.
So, because otherwise, I mean, what, okay, they're selling tomatoes. Now what?
Are they doing? Are they preparing them? They're not preparing.
So is that how the same type of situation would come up with the people that are selling corn during the corn season?
Yeah, I think they even do address, what do they call that? Or roadside stand?
Roadside stands?
Yeah, they do have some guidelines on the roadside stands too.
I know we do have, you know, there's usually one down here. I mean, is there any involvement with the village in that? If there isn't, should there be?
That's all I'm saying is,
Yeah,
back to your point, the purple haired person is selling corn now. Or whatever. We need to, you know, it's all or nothing in my eyes. I'm more black and white that way.
Yeah, no, well, that's what it needs to be. We need to eliminate the ambiguity.
I know it's gonna be-
We're not aware of it. And you know, again, sometimes somebody's got to surface it and it's like, oh, you know, we didn't think, we weren't aware of it and you know, we weren't trying to be, but you gotta.
It's new and so, because what what she had said to me is they, he paid a county, well, that's the health department per
Yeah.
thing. That's totally different.
Well, what we do with our certificate for the itinerary workshops is we give them a permit to have on this flag. And that permit identifies the fact that they have registered with Winnebago County, they're registered with the state of Illinois, and we have reviewed those documents.
Well, I'm glad I brought it up because now I understand.
Well, no, it is good thing because it is one that, again, it kind of ebbs and flows because the other thing is it hasn't been a complaint. However, there's always a possibility that some people start saying, well, wait a minute. Every Friday for 2 hours in the summertime, I'm losing all my pizza business because they're going over here instead of here. So it's like, and again, that's their for-profit business. So, I like what they're doing, and again, it's kind of, it's starting out going more to the hobby, but certainly they must be doing okay, because they went from this one little trailer to 2 big trailers, and, so, it is a for-profit business.
I wonder because I haven't been. I think there's quite a few of those food trucks that go to Westland. How they do it, just for curiosity.
Be different.
They're their own.
They're private property. They're not a municipality, collect things.
All kinds of control.
Because I wondered why they still out there. Oh, yes, yes.
They do go up.
I've always heard that. I never know, but it's just, we don't see it here. And I
But it's a
wonder.
very different.
Now, there have been discussion, and apparently the landlord kind of kiboshed it, but, Eagle Lounge was talking about trying to bring in different food trucks at different times, because started, preparing a little bit more food than they used to, but at one time that was their plan. And, obviously, because their next door neighbor is Subway, who would probably provide some feedback to the landlords, like, hey, you know what, this is not gonna go through, but I guess in a situation like that, if, be it the post, or be it them, or be it anybody brings in these food trucks, technically, they should be, get a village license as well.
And I'm sure that they do wherever they park their trucks.
Or, they may speak of who went here and there, but again, again, it hasn't been an issue, but once you start, hey guys, you need to.
I know that it's been a favorite topic.
I mean, $200 annual fee is not very much.
We're not trying to make, the more important thing, like, we need to try to make, there's administrative burden on the village to put all of this thing together. But again, if all of a sudden somebody became ill or whatever, you just need to know that information, so we have the ability to go back and communicate and be aware of what those things are. And then I hadn't even thought about the fact that, when you do have the ones that are, collecting sales tax,
No, I didn't think of that either.
That was one of the things that I reformed. And on it would be that they have to provide to the treasurer documentation for they would be our location, our tax location that we have.
with or without the village portion, they're obligated for state.
Well, and I know, how long is the farmer's market been?
Long time.
Long time.
I remember when the farmer's market first came, and I brought up that very thing, having to do with the state of Illinois, that, these people have requirements. That was about as popular a comment as when they said, but what about these cats that,
Well-
don't have leashes? So.
You
But I'm
don't
just
want to
saying.
chase this, we're always, but, I don't want to chase them away, but I am more trying to be about, if we're going to set this law or this rule, regulation, I want it to, then we do it. I don't want to be great, which it sounds like this is relatively how long you guys been talking about it? It's pretty new here.
A few years we've been working.
Oh, really? Oh, well, I'm behind.
Well, you're new.
No, but then the season comes about.
Yeah.
And that's like, and obviously there are different priorities but I just think we gotta get to it.
Like on this form that Kelly's been working on, this really came to a head a couple of years ago with the single mingle, because of all the stuff, so we really need, and we probably have a little overzealous with what we initially required or whatever, and so we had talked to them about using those. What's her name? Nancy was gonna use it. Hey, it's a trial, this is draft, it's not adopted, but you're gonna have an event, can you work with us or whatever, and Phil, I don't know, so he would probably work a little bit. But again, we gotta, and this one does look a whole lot, a lot more simplified or whatever.
Yes, I agree.
But the thing is, and I'm in drought form, so I'm justifying it, that it was my form. But it was paragraph of Winnebago County. These people all go to Winnebago County, and they do what Winnebago County tells them to do, or the city of Rockford, but they do what they tell them to do. Because they realize if they don't do what they tell them to do, they're not going to get their booth or whatever they're trying to do. So it just slaves me. But then when they come to the village of Winnebago, they
Yeah.
want special concession,
Well,
because this is hometown.
yeah, and it hasn't been like that before. That's gonna be a lot of it.
Well, it's like,
It'll soak
put it
in.
this way, the world was not as litigious as it is right now, so we gotta protect ourselves. I mean,
And we
Well,
have
you
these
aren't kidding.
crazies that are out there.
Yeah.
That you don't know who these people are,
yeah, we-
potentially that are.
I don't know whether it ever settled out, but, we had an issue here several years ago, on the garage sale days. Somebody visited garage sale days and they tripped over a sidewalk. Lawsuit. So, I mean, you try to leave this out, you want to try to keep it simple, but the next thing you know, by keeping it simple, you end up in litigation. And I can see how it happened. I walk around the neighborhood all the time, and, and every once in a while, I didn't pick my foot up quite far enough, and I get a little raised sidewalk, and I catch my toe, and unfortunately, I'm still a little bit, pretty good, because I about 6 or 8 feet, looking to flop it, but I didn't fall. Or other things, which are, two things that I get real irritated with, just walking around the neighborhood. First of all, I got a duck under like half the trees, and people would just go trim the freaking trees. And you're taller than me, so it'd probably be 75. Or the other thing is all the people that continually blow their grass.
Oh, yeah.
That plugs up our storm system. It's like, please, people. But,
Yeah.
What about, do you have problems here with people where you have sidewalks, that they park like their trucks on the sidewalk?
If they have a driveway, yeah,
They block the sidewalk, I think they gotta either walk around this way or walk around this way.
yeah.
And then some of them, like, the whole driveway's empty. But that's where, but I know what they do, there's a car parked in here, if I park that far enough, you can back out of the shop. And I don't even know what our ordinance is relative to.
I don't think we have, city of Rockford can't do that. You can't park the sidewalk. Well, but it makes sense.
You want to make sense, I think people have to.
You got what?
What if you got somebody in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, yeah, exactly, yeah, a single person walking can walk around the edge, but
then what, so that's why they make those, and I know everybody thinks that it's just a lot of crazy laws, but they're not. Some of them are, but.
I guess before we go back to anything else, I think we gotta come back to we voted on the 4th of July thing, did we?
Do we need to vote on this or just wasn't on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just that it happened. And the only,
I got it after I posted.
right, you're just adding it in now.
So basically,
But I don't think that's something we would need to vote on anyway, is it?
No, but I think it just brings back to the conversation we had a few other times, clearly identifying when we do need something and when we don't something relative to, fire department has an event, art district has an event, library has an event, school has an event. At what point do we become involved? And I think it seems to be, if it's not a captive room is something open to the general public. I mean, it's kind of what I'm, as we, as we speak through it, it seems where it's leading at. Or if they're gonna require closure or some type of parade on the street or something that's gonna involve public infrastructure.
I have something else I want to, you're making me think about other things.
That's fine.
Because I'd like to discuss some of this. This one, I didn't know we were still, apparently in zoning, they're working on this solar ordinance stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, what the status is that zoning is looking at it for commentary. Because as you know, Bill Emmert has made a presentation, or we got some materials together that he distributed when there was the open house on the solar ordinance. And so the last part was that the committee was gonna be looking at the solar ordinance and supposed to get me any commentary.
Looking at the solar ordinance, so this is a community solar ordinance, not a private.
This is for the community solar now, and I can tell you that Bill's position is he would like to go back to the drawing board and not call it a solar ordinance, he'd call it something else, or community energy, something or other, something.
But technically it's an ordinance.
But yeah, but it's definitely an ordinance dealing with solar. Not the one that you put on your house, but more solar
Right.
kind of issues. And he just has concern as to where they're located and things of that nature. So that's in zoning.
So is that something that'll come, I mean, it should come through here, or
Yes.
we still haven't really, but yes, it's supposed to, right?
Yeah, and in fact, because it already went to everybody a long time ago. The one that I had drafted, just based on taking them from a lot of different places. And I try to make those real specific and real detailed, and you don't like it, you take it out. Okay, so but then zoning got it. And that's when Bill Emmert became the zoning board chairman, and it was like, he would have all of these concerns about it, particularly where it would potentially be located. So that's what.
How is it matching the UDO? Does it have to?
Well, there would be, I mean, we certainly wouldn't want it in conflict with the UDO, but we don't have anything in the UDO about solar.
The UDO is in conflict with itself. Per Bill Emmert, by the way. So the only thing I would say is you say you took some of them ordinance from something else. Rockford, I found out that Trajectory built, they built a couple of these in Rockford. I think one's on, Baxter Road, maybe. And there's one down off of Auburn on Horseman Street. And I went by it the other day. And I would advise anybody to go by that and look at it and make sure our ordinance does better. And I don't know who has Beefaroo. So you're going east on Auburn and you get to Beefaroo. The street right before Beefaroo is Horseman. You go up the hill and it's on your right. And it is a weed patch. Well, I stopped and talked to some residents there, and they, of course, they didn't. I'm sure they were invited to a public hearing and all that stuff, but it didn't go. Yeah, but it used to be, I think, a garbage, way back, a garbage site. But the strange thing was that you or Sally helping me, so we were trying to find, it is a county, help me out.
Well,
I was trying to find the ordinance for Rockford, but I didn't need to
We couldn't find him.
for solar ordinance.
And so we pulled it up on the engine. It's owned by the city of Rockford, but the city of Rockford owns property that's actually in county.
Sure.
So, like the state has said that, county has to, basically, if they want to put in a solar system.
Yeah, they can't have all those restrictions.
Oh, so
So
that's
that's
the
what I
area
wanted.
between Kilburn and Horseman, probably.
Yes,
It's a
yes,
big
that
open
is it.
area, but I didn't know if you would be able to find actually owned by county or the city
Oh.
owned.
You're talking about, do we know the address?
Yeah, there was an address, the First Street.
I have that.
It's right there. It's right between Kilburn and Horseman. I don't know what the physical address is, but
They use chain link fence. I know all of this can be changed, but, and now weeds. I wouldn't want to look at it, but but that's what I was told. Anyway, I just wanted to see the ordinance that went to that, and maybe there wasn't one. I don't know how it
I
got
go up and
transpired.
down Kilburn all the time,
That could be some-
Auburn Street all the time. I never knew that.
Yeah, I know, me neither.
There's enough buildings on Kilburn still that you don't look over that far or whatever, but holy cow, I didn't realize all that was.
It's big.
Okay.
That's a pretty big area. I did not. I guess they're fortunate they really don't have any residences. Now it's residents just south of there.
Now, those ones are, if it was a solid fence, they are tilted enough, and I don't know if they move or not. I didn't ask any more
I would have to
questions,
say
but
too.
you would think,
I think
whether they went over the fence or not, taller. But because that was one of the things in Bill's packet that he, I haven't gone by the Baxter one, but that one, I'm always down there as well, and I thought one day I'm gonna go up
Well,
there.
I go through that, I didn't even know it was there. The next time I passed it through there, I'm gonna.
But Baxter Road's gonna be county.
That's what I think it's on, is Baxter. That one is in Bill's packet.
But that, yeah, that
Oh, yeah, you're right.
and the Horseman Street, I know that that's City of Rockford, but based on what part of town that's in.
I know.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, they're not going to get a public outcry.
No.
I mean, it's sad to say, but it's just.
It
true.
is sad to say, but
But
that's
they
how they
don't-
did it.
well, for most part, most of the commercial property and most of the perimeter buildings are commercial. There's some houses not far away. Yeah, never does.
Now, if it was a garbage and they're trying to do something with it, because it probably can't be anything else now,
Well, to me.
but it could have been done better.
Yeah.
It is terrible. I mean, even the outside of the fence, I don't know who's supposed to take care of that. But it's just, I mean, the weeds are overrun.
Yeah, but to me, because I've said that lots of times, I get a little irritated with when you're using prime farmland for solar. I would
Right.
say, the good place for those things would be on a former dump or something. You can't do anything else.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so that,
Yeah.
it's actually a pretty good strategic spot, but I agree with
But
you.
there's houses right across the
But
street.
yeah, you do need to keep it up because that's not fair to the neighborhood if you don't maintain it.
And when they say, I went to that open house, well, yeah, you were there. And there was, they put in the wildlife or however they call it, but that's weeds. But so
So
that,
prairie grasses
yes, right.
are weeds.
So I don't know how it works. I'm sure they'd never get taller than a solid fence if that's the plan, but
Any idea the crossroads Baxter and what, where they own that?
no, I don't have that with.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here it is. Just south, it's south of Baxter Road, just south of. It looks like it's solar farm, so.
Bill took pictures of that one. It was taller than the fence.
It's west of Harrisville Road, south of Baxter Road. And
And while we're talking about it, is it true? Well, this is a zoning. Would it be, what are they trying to zone it out there? Or that hasn't it gone that far? Have you been in those meetings?
So you're talking about.
Ours. Or the one that's been
light
presented.
industrial. Light industrial.
See, I don't think so.
No. We're trying
I
to-
was told it was agricultural with a special use.
No, it's not that. I'm trying to remember.
District 4 or District 8?
Well, District 8 would be RTMP, Research Technology Manufacturing Park. So no, it's much more of a, I don't want to say, but it's more industrial. It's really not light industrial.
Well, that's better than agricultural. Okay, because I was afraid that would open up anything that touches the outskirts, because you're only short the special use permit.
Yeah, I mean, the key thing is at least Bill's point, and I'm not taking a position, I'm just saying.
No,
His point is that too close to residential.
right.
Yeah, but I guess the other thing about it is, it's not like the state pretty much said, they're gonna run that all, we can't even.
No, only for the county.
county. It hasn't reached municipality.
Okay.
Do I think it's coming? Sure. Can we keep the same administration? Yes.
Can I add something? There was a gentleman here the other day from the IBEW,
Mhm.
and he was asking about the project and where we were at with our solar ordinance. And I told him, I said, we really don't have one in place yet. And I did ask him about that question about the state, well, what the state has done with the counties. And will that be something that would come down the pipe to cities? And he said, actually, there's a bill right now waiting for Governor Pritzker's signature that it would not do that to the municipalities.
Well, you know, he didn't give me a number.
No, he didn't. He did give me his card and he said he'd be willing to come and talk to our board and just share from the IBEWs.
Well, they're going to have less,
He said they didn't
kickback.
want to infringe on municipalities.
right?
Well, the other thing, I guess some people say municipalities, we don't tend to have the land availability that the counties have. So I can see that, it's like you get such limited land, we better, let you control what you have and not.
Well, I did talk to Bill a little, obviously, that's how I know some of this. But, I mean, such a good, that piece of land that's open, that is industrial down to the highway, but they don't own that. You know, they have to buy it, but it's,
Well, yeah.
now it's on the highway.
Yeah, that's got a lot of the do it, it's the people that want to do it, it's land that they have control over, and yeah, a great spot there, but I don't control the land.
Right. Then the other thing I wanted to tell you that we did have a little park. I'm calling it a think tank because I talked to Frank and, it's an informal, I'm the only member, I'm the only trustee on it. So we're not having, exactly. And all we're doing, we're not making any decisions. Everything's going to come here through with me.
You're soliciting ideas. And
That's
so the
exactly.
think is inappropriate.
So we had one, I don't know, this week. And the question that came up since Mary is here,
Mhm.
Willingham?
yeah, Willingham Park. So I don't know, I'm getting all messed up. Is it that bad, first of all? It's big.
It's a wetland.
It was the drainage. See, okay, this is why it came up. When I went to this seminar and everybody in the tank thought this was a great idea. When I went to the seminar, they do adult fitness things. Okay. I didn't know this. I'm obviously not into it, but people do it. And it's along the prairie path and you can, and that way it opens up. So like Ninja Warrior, if you've ever seen that show, or parkour, is it called? Where
I
they,
think they have some nice things.
that's adult fitness outside stuff. So it was talk about Michelle Cunningham's on this think tank. So she was talking that they wanted to do that up here, but they don't have the land for
Well,
it.
the land was, basically, they tried to give it to them, and they didn't want it.
That's right.
So that's why I didn't know this. So now that's in limbo. It's not even the villages, nor is it the park districts. I'm starting to find out. So now it's a moot point.
Chris Rockford,
Yeah, they only have, but when they did.
So it's not even a park.
So they had to allocate, anytime there's a new development, there's obviously got to be allocated for detention areas and everything else. And then generally speaking, just like in the park and greenery, sometimes it's negotiated, okay, we're gonna, include some land for, a park here or whatever. But, this has been going on for years, is the fact that the intention was first one wanted to, deed that property over to the park district. Well, apparently didn't want it.
That's what I now
And
understand.
so it really, because it's still in limbo, it should be First Rockford that should be mowing it and maintaining it, but they're not. Been doing it because it's an eyesore, and, which, again, they wanted it and probably just go back to 3 people over there or whatever, but, so yeah, I mean, it's been, because Park district didn't want it, so they, well, the village wanted to take it. Well, the village was hesitant to take it because, you know, as far as the feedback from the public works staff or whatever, it's not very desirable, it's detention. Now, you know, yeah, maybe certain times of the year, you know, the detention area can be, you know, serviceable, but other times of the year, when you do have your floods and everything, you could, the park could be underwater.
Well,
Or at least 2 people.
it doesn't matter if it's not even, see, when it started, we had 4 village, now we're down to 3 village parks then. Because, and that one of them is Greenlee, which we're kind of putting on the back burner for now. Is that even a park that needs to
I mean,
continue, or, you
I
know?
think it's used, you know, but again, still spend several hours, you know.
Well, and that's why I say that, because, again, Michelle's in there, their budget is 120,000, which is so tiny, I can't even,
No, it's not much, it's true.
so, but they're larger area than we are,
Yeah,
taxi
they-
body.
they-
So what went wrong? What's wrong there? Is there anything? Can they get more?
Well, they would have to apply for a tax increase rate if they're looking for more revenue.
You know, we've got the village being taxed for their parks. We got a park district that taxes for parks, and should there be both?
Well, I would say that probably in a perfect world, if you could recreate it, is, you know, like the county, they've got all their stuff, and they got the, you know, they got their forest preserve district, which takes care of all that stuff, and then they got the street part, they got everything, so, you know, in probably a perfect world, the park district should be responsible for all parks.
Right, sure.
You know, unfortunately, the way things are right now, they don't have the budget to do it. And again, whether it wasn't clearly thought out what their scope of organization was, but for the most part, I think when it was put together, it was like, well, we'll put together a staff that we can coordinate different things, and we're gonna utilize village parks, we're gonna utilize school parks, and we're gonna use, so, you know, we don't have any facilities. They now have a little trailer back on the school district property, deeded over to them for their office. And then they also own part of the parks that are, you know, with the school district back where the soccer fields and everything are. Part of those is park district, part of it is school district or whatever. And I believe they have a IGA probably with the school district for, you know, maintenance of, okay, who owns it, who's gonna maintain it, and who does what. And we've been trying for a few years to try to, you know, work with the park district and get some sort of an IGA there, because they have the softball games going down at the Light Diamond. You know, we got, you know, the village incurs the burden of keeping those lights up and everything. And, you know, so even part of it was, okay, if you're gonna have required night games or whatever, you know, there should be a fee for the lights to at least give us, and they have a limited budget, but on the other hand is if you're charging people registration to have a league, you know, factor a little bit of cost into your registration, you know, so that way then you can funnel some money back, because, you know, if the lights go out, the village has got to go into its pocket, you know, it is a little convoluted, it could be done separately with agreements.
Yeah.
But
Because, you know, finding that out, that was the big one, which I didn't know. You got this, the Lighted Diamond, I know, I did get her hold of Pastor Ed Graham,
yes,
and he was he came. So he might have some input for that one, and we just didn't get talking about
yeah,
that.
well, it's gonna take a little bit, but yeah, again, certainly probably Greenlee Park 20 years ago probably got a whole lot more use than it does today, because, you know, we moved in
Oh, yeah, you're over there.
26 years ago. And when we came in, I had a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 4-year-old, and all of our neighbors had kids in there. I mean, that park had activity going on all the time because the volume of young kids in there. Now, Greenlee hasn't turned over a lot, so now we're sitting there, you know.
So is there an agreement with Greenlee, or what is that?
It's just, the village owns that park. That property was turned over when Greenlee was developed. That property over, and they deeded that over to the village to serve as a park. And I don't know whether the village put the equipment in, or whether the developers put some of it in. I don't know, don't know that, but it is village property.
it sounds like it's quite a bit to mow.
I mean, it's got a fair amount of volume. Now, which is, and part of it is, which is kind of unfortunate because, I mean, the park is relatively, the playground equipment is relatively small versus all the property that's over there. So you do have a lot of property that's got to be mowed that doesn't serve a whole lot of other purposes. Now, some people will take their dogs out there and let them run because, there's really, there's a creek between all the houses, so, they don't have to worry also the dog's gonna run and bite some kid or something like that. And, but there is there's a little basketball hoops there, a little basketball court, and, so there's some degree of activity, but nothing like there was 25 years ago. Now, at some point, it'll probably turn over when some of us with no children move out and other kids with children come back in. It doesn't get the utilization it once did. But that's one of the reasons why I was kind of always, we need to kind of have a better understanding, even like, most of this park has been primarily younger children, but you do have the basketball.
That's what we just, well, see, that's what we just talked about.
But part of the other is, although we can't necessarily mandate it, we can try to encourage the guys. In high school is over there, you play basketball, why don't you use the basketball courts to,
And
you try to, that's my thoughts, and I don't know whether you're.
no, we went right to that because the first thing I asked was, Michelle, to me, the park district area, the stuff up at the school is the middle age group. It's not the young kids. I drive past here every day and it's little kids play. And even on the basketball court and for the most part. And whether you keep the basketball court or not, because there's some up there.
But part of it is your inclination might be, okay, we're gonna try to service the smaller kids, well, let's put the lower basketball hoops, and then you get the high school kids,
Yeah, right.
They tear the equipment up and they hurt themselves, it's a little hard to.
So where we went a little bit is, and because I'm all for this, if you do anything, like I said before, you have to make this ADA compliant. What, I don't, there's a state minimum and then there's much better than that, or there's in between. And I'd like to see more. So you start doing little kids and that or something here for a memorial park, and because you have the park district, now the park district is serving, their taxing body is serving an age group then.
Well, they are serving, because they don't have their Easter egg hunts and stuff like that, so they are, serving the golf, they'll have, their 5K race.
Sure.
Coordinate, which gets you from here to here, but as far as physical assets, that's where, and I think this, it gets you a little, think tank, is kind of coming into the same opinion that I've had is, you can't absolutely segregate them, but, if you're gonna try to put a park in to take care of, it's gonna be a really big ticket, if you can kind of narrow the,
Yes.
the rate, you can't stop big kids from going.
If we do a certain age group, maybe then the splash pad becomes more feasible. And that's for that age group, or the water feature.
Well, yeah, like the misters. The misters are just. Water just.
And
And the kids love that.
And I did talk to Chad about that because it came up in there too, is that, can you do that? And he said, the main thing is to make it recycled water,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't go down the drain. But otherwise, he said, yeah, there should be no problems, whatever. But anyway, that was the way I was trying to squeeze a water feature or something else different out here. And maybe get, I don't know, even
Well, then the other
more
thing,
budget.
and the other thing is too is, we do have you've got the report or something that came in and, at least identify
Yes.
the items that are potentially deficient or whatever.
Which is 5 years old, 6 years old.
Well, yeah.
No, I haven't been here now.
I thought it was.
Well, because that's the problem is you can fix something that's there, but if you change anything and you just open up Pandora's box with
That's
all
what
of
it
this
is.
ADA, and so it's just.
Which should be anyway.
Well, it should be, but, on the other hand is, if you'd like to do it over time, so you're not throwing away 50 or 60% perfectly good equipment, I mean, again, if the budget was no issue, but we only got to find out.
That's why I'm trying to
Spend it the most wisely
we
we
go
can.
in there.
Or the other thing is, if there's something, one or two items that's potentially deficient, it's like, okay, if we can fix those, able to, allow another year or two to, if we defer it, can we build up a bigger budget?
Well,
And on the other hand is, we can't, because this is a plan, because some of it's through grants and stuff like that, so,
well, that's the
you're.
Oregon. Michelle just went to Oregon yet, and she was gonna maybe talk to some connections anyway to find out. I think Oregon was one of these national demonstration sites, I believe is what they called it, through IPRA, Illinois Park Recreation Association. That was the seminar I went to. Anyway, that is a matching grant, so your budget and matching, and that's how Oregon happened, I think. That's when I was at this meeting, they mentioned Oregon. So
I think Oregon's got more wealthy neighborhoods than we do, and we always get on the short end of the stick from, affordability.
this goes to Chicago a lot, of course, but there was dots outside of there, and I believe Oregon's one of them. So it's not like it isn't something we couldn't try for. But
What do they use? Survey, you do an analysis of all the residents, figure out what their income is, or is that what they do on that?
That's why we're always too high qualified. This isn't, all right, this is Fort Bend, isn't that local?
yeah, so it had fire. I know.
Yeah, and, but they have, they have the nuclear.
So maybe,
Well,
I don't,
that's the other thing, both fire and Oregon generate so much revenue off that nuclear plant. And you can say they're matching funds, so if they needed to come up with a couple $250,000, it probably wasn't that big deal. It used to be, I don't know what it was right now, but, the fire and fire department had like $2 million in the bank. So, matching grants on equipment was never a problem. They had the state-of-the-art equipment all over the place because they had such an amount of cash infusion that was always going on in that nuclear plant.
Yeah, that whenever you hear anything about what Olin's doing or what Byron's doing, you just can't compare.
That's why they got that whole, community center with the, all the gym and the basketball. You just had this.
Look at their high school and middle school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For the size of the community,
But yeah, and again, Winnebago is, we might have wealth rate of the residents, but we just don't have much commercial revenue in the village.
yeah. So anyway, we're talking about it, but I will take Willie off the list.
Well, at least, again, you're relatively new, so some of these things we can kind of come and go a few times, whatever, gives you a little bit of history on some of them to understand a little bit better. Yeah, again, now with the current guard at the park district or whatever, it might be, the opportune time to, I don't know, who you even talked to back first Rockford. If you remember at one point in time, you want to get this property, but it's like,
She said they borrowed from the school. They made an agreement to pay it back for the pickleball courts. They're changing over to pickleball.
that's a wise idea.
Pickleball? I don't even know what it is.
It's a combination of badminton, ping pong, and tennis. And
I think it's one of the tennis courts.
it seems to be more my age and, 60 to 75 are kind of doing it. They don't have to run as fast and everything, but, I read an article the other day about it and all that, and it's like, people don't move very far, so you spend 2 hours out there, you don't really get very big steps, but they're tearing their knees up and they're tearing their hips up. So, I'm not sure. And if you get the lower cost rackets, it makes so much noise, and you get all these things that just, I'm gonna try, but my wife, Canada, she's hurt her damn knees from around at freaking game.
Really? So that's it for everything. No items to go to the board then. We're not taking this. Or wait, yes, there is. We're taking the grand marshal appointment. So grand marshal appointment will go to the board. No executive session. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I second.
It's a good conversation though. This is,
5:10, is that what it's about?
5:10.
If somebody sees the door and come back, I think all involved and,
And then just as an FYI, you won't get it till tomorrow, and not going back to the office.